don't bite so hard. Hello evil viewers, Summoned Creature Evil Murdoch X here, and today we'll be talking about Disgaea. Originally released on the PS2 back in 2003, but let me ask you this. Have you ever wished you could wake up one morning and discover that you're a demon overlord? That you could murder Power Rangers for posing and talking about justice for too long? That you could befriend a true zombie artist who incorporates large zombie horse parts into his creations? Do you dream about angels teaching you about the power of love? Do you wish that you had the best evil laugh ever? Well, my friends, this game has all of those things, including the horse Disgaea, one of the reasons I collect for the PlayStation 2, which I believe, in my evil heart, has the most diverse collection of any console available. Why is all my equipment set up? Are you making a video? Yeah. Well, stop it! Disgaea, as well as a few other great strategy role-playing games, were developed by Nipponichi Software, which is a strange company, but I'm glad that we have them, although I am often frustrated with the decisions they make. Nipponichi Software currently publishes games here in North America, but at the time of the original release of Disgaea, they did not. So many of the PS2 games that they made were released by other companies, like Atlas, who distributed Disgaea, or Mastiff, who published Lapusel Tactics, for example. The more I research Nipponichi Software, the more my brain hurts. They started off making Jigsaw and Mahjong puzzle games and somehow found their way into making turn-based strategy role-playing games. And these caught on, so what did they do? They quit making them for the most part, with the exception of the Disgaea series. I don't understand this company, but they've been around since 1994, so they must be doing something right. For the rest of this video, I will be avoiding the strange rabbit hole of Nipponichi Software and moving on to the game, Disgaea, Hour of Darkness. Heads up though, this time around I played the PS4 game titled Disgaea 1 Complete, although the game does refer to itself as Disgaea PC from time to time. That brain hurt is coming back. Let's talk about why I'm playing this version over the PS2 game, and that reason is I can't capture game footage for at least 3 of the NIS games released on the PlayStation 2, those games being Disgaea, Phantom Brave, and Makai Kingdom. I suspect Disgaea 2 and Lapusel Tactics also have this problem, and since we're on the topic, the Mega Man X collection for PS2 also does this. I have no idea what causes this, but this is why I'm capturing footage using the PS4 version of the game. I could have used an emulator, but that's not my thing. I'm no fakey fakerton. As this is a re-release of the game, there have been some updates, but the main thing here is that the graphics have been updated, most of the time. There are some items in the game that didn't get that re-release treatment, like this skull at the vendor station, or these screenshots that are used during the chapter intro videos. Disgaea has been re-released loads of times on many different platforms, and luckily I haven't been paying attention because there was a nice surprise for me in this game, but we'll come back to that. I was just trying to summon a cool demon one morning. I didn't know I'd get some jerk version of myself. The story in Disgaea has you play Laharl, son of King Krachevskoy and heir to the throne, who wakes up to discover that his father is dead and he's been asleep for years. Luckily for Laharl, his, loyal assistant Etna has been attempting to wake him up from this slumber and assist him in claiming his rightful rule over the realm. There are loads of other characters that we meet along this journey, including an angel, a mid-boss, an astronaut, that weird zombie kid, and of course plenty of prinnies. Dude.
Dude, you demons are evil, dude!
But as much fun as this storyline is, I came for the gameplay, and there's a lot to talk about, so let's do this. First up is leveling. You don't max out at level 99 in this game. Oh no, you can push your way up to level 9,999 here. Also, if you reach that level, you can reincarnate at level 1 and do it all over again. This game has a lot of grind, but they made the grind interesting. While the max level is way up there, you can beat this game at around level 65. Next, let's talk about classes and monsters. If you've ever played a turn-based strategy game before, you're probably familiar with this. You can create, and in some cases capture, different people or creatures to fight alongside you. The humanoid classes each specialize in different weapons and abilities. You have healers, fighters, magicians, and even some specialized types like thieves and scouts. Monsters are similar, but with two main exceptions. Monsters can only use monster weapons, and they can't pick up or throw other characters like the humanoids can. Throwing characters around is a big part of the strategy in this game, so I almost never use monsters. I always mean to explore what they offer, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. There's so much to do in this game. The weapons that the humanoids can use each have abilities that tend to line up with the playstyle of the class that is most adept with them. What I mean is that wizards and healers use rods, which specialize in increasing magic damage and magic point stats, while an axe can only hit one enemy, but it does loads of damage. In between these two extremes are ranged weapons like guns, bows, and spears, or the more versatile sword, which has some fun special attacks. Other items exist as well for things like healing your health and special points. Then there's the Mr. Gensi exits, which offer an emergency exit from the item world, which we'll be talking about later, and of course there's various types of armor. Oh, I get that name now. Emergency exit, Mr. Gensi exit, that's clever. Also, items can be stolen, which becomes an important tactic to learn throughout this game. Well, for the deeper gameplay that is. You can beat this game without stealing anything, but I'm working up to describing the item world, which is one of the most interesting parts of the game. I'm sick of this fool eating my frozen pizzas and playing my PlayStation 2 games.
There has to be some way to get rid of this guy.
Hey kid, you got demon problems?
Yeah? Who are you?
Hey, over here. It's your buddy Squirrel here, and I just wanted you to know that demons are bad business. Whatever you did that brought it over into our plane of existence, you need to fix it. Was it a summoning cycle?
Actually, yes.
So erase that summoning cycle already. Jeez, you primates get an opposable thumb and you ruin everything.
Alright, I'll give it a shot. Thank you.
Before we get into the wonderful deep parts of the gameplay here, we need to talk about healing. You have a healer class that can use healing spells in battle, and there are items that heal as well, but most of this work will be done at the hospital. After a fight, your characters are still injured or dead, so you'll constantly be visiting the hospital and pressing the heal all button. This costs hell, which is the in-game currency. In the early stages, it's important not to blow all of your money on a new spear before you heal, otherwise things can get surprisingly difficult. On the other hand, as you spend money at the hospital, you'll get a strange collection of gifts as reward for the money spent. The item shop also has a leveling system for how much money you've spent, as well as multiple ways to expand what they offer. Oh yes, the shops are yet another thing that can be upgraded, and this is done using the Dark Assembly. Much like the American government, if there are things that you want and you're rich enough, you can bribe your way to success by offering the demons in charge of the decisions items from your inventory. Each demon gets a number of votes equal to their level, and if you give them items they desire, their opinion on the topic up for vote will improve. You can also give them junk they don't like to make them hate you. That is an option, but I don't think it serves much of a purpose. After bribing demon senators, you can hold a vote and they will all yell out yay or nay, and the votes are added up. If you fail, you have a few options. Accept a loss and move on is one option. Reverting to the save file you created just before going into the dark assembly is another, and finally, you can resort to murder. When a vote fails, you can choose to fight everyone that voted against your proposal, and if you kill every one of them, the bill passes the assembly and goes into effect. So bribery and murder to get what you want sounds appealing, right? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Some other things that you can do with the Dark Assembly include passing a bill to make the monsters you're fighting a higher or lower level. You can also pass a bill that allows a temporary triple experience bonus. When creating new characters to take into battle, you can give them more bonus points to put into their stats if you're willing to spend more mana, but in order to create a top tier character, you will need the permission of the Dark Assembly. There are also ways to unlock new maps and characters and plenty of other things, but the Dark Assembly is an interesting aspect of the game that must be mastered, and that, dear viewer, is the draw here. If you are an obsessive gamer like myself, there is so much to do here. Which brings us to the item world.
It's time to take down evil Murdoch.
It's time to end this fool, even though he is working on a video which makes my life easier. No, I mustn't think like that. He's bad news. He has to go. I do believe we were talking about the item world, the wonderful grind spot in Disgaea. Every item has a handful of attributes. Besides the normal stuff like attack, defense, and intelligence, and special points, there's also an item level and a list of specialists within the item. Raising the item level increases its stats, while the specialists are enemies that reside within the item that also increase stats, but in an unusual way. For example, defeating a gladiator within the item world will raise the attack power of the item, while a statistician, on the other hand, will increase the amount of experience you gain for kills if equipped with said item. There are only a handful of specialists in each item, but these specialists can be combined and moved from item to item to create a powerful combination. For example, you can earn up to a 300% boost to experience and mana gains using this method. There are also specialists that add status effects to your items. What I'm getting at here is through the use of these item specialists, you can create a sword that's far more powerful than any reasonable character would ever need. Why not create a sword that gives a 300% boost to experience and mana gain while also poisoning and casting sleep on an enemy on top of the attack and defense boost that you've also snuck in there? Heck, there's even a specialist that increases how much money you earn in battles. If that hasn't sold you on the benefits of the item world, how about this? Each level of the item world can be passed in one of two ways, either by defeating all of the enemies or simply by stepping on the doorway that leads to the next level. The item world for each item has 255 levels, and the enemies get tougher the further down you go, with the option to leave for free after every 10th level. Because these enemies go up in level, so do the items they carry around. If you're able to work your way down to the areas where the monsters are super tough, but you can steal an item or two from them before cowering away by jumping through a portal or by using a Mr. Gensi exit, you'll end up with weapons and armor that are far more powerful than you have any right to own. It's devious. Scandalous. This game is designed to take advantage of methods like this, and if you do give it a shot, I suggest checking out some power leveling guides. Oh, but wait, there's more. There's still so many other things to talk about, like geosymbols. Some of the spots your characters can stand on have effects. Maybe by standing on the red spaces, your character gets healed a little bit, or maybe if an enemy stands on it, it becomes 6 times more powerful instead. Every now and again, you'll get an invincibility spot, and these are fantastic. Your level 30 character may very well be able to beat a level 100 monster if you're lucky enough to run into an invincibility spot. Something to think about. Each stage also has bonuses that are handed out if all enemies are destroyed, but you'll get more bonus items if you run around and destroy geosymbols using combinations, which is kind of hard to describe, so I'll just show you some footage. Geosymbols will become your savior and your enemy throughout the game, but like most things, can be taken advantage of to give your team an edge. Another way to get ahead in the demon world is to throw around your teammates. Humanoids can pick each other up and be tossed off into the distance. You can even make giant stacks of characters which allow the person at the top to be thrown to the other side of the map and possibly to that portal that takes you to the next level of the item world without ever fighting anyone. While monsters can't use the throwing abilities, there is one interesting side note here, and that is throwing prinnies. These little guys are explosive. When tossed around, they blow up. When a prinny explosion happens near another prinny, it also causes them to explode. So if you're ever in a battle with these guys, you may not need to fight them. You can just explode them. These prinnies are reincarnated sinners, by the way. Don't feel bad for exploding them. Maybe this is a good time to mention that there are multiple endings to the game based on what happens in several key fights throughout the game, as well as how you treated your team. Tossing prinnies around is perfectly acceptable, but killing your troops in any other way is looked down upon. Sure, it's an easy way to gain experience, but you will get a bad ending if you do it too much. And now we tread into spoiler territory. I'm going to talk about what happens after you beat the game. This was a surprise for me, and if you want it to be a surprise for you as well, please skip forward to the time being displayed right now. When I played this game on the PlayStation 2, I was pleased to discover that there is a new Game Plus feature where you can play the game all over from the beginning, but with the same set of characters you had when you beat the game. This remake of the game, on the other hand, has another choice that I was unaware of. There is now an option after the credits that says, play Etna's story from the beginning. If you select this option, you start a brand new game where Etna is the hero because Laharl never wakes up from his slumber. You play through all of the same events, but the story is drastically different without Laharl. I love it, but there was one unexpected downside to this feature. The items that Laharl was wearing when you beat the game are no longer available. I had his sword loaded up with all of the best item world specialists when I beat the game, so losing these items was painful. I'm not looking forward to grinding through the item world to regain specialists I've already unlocked, so heads up on that. Maybe don't make Laharl your big bad fighter, as he and his gear will be lost if you choose to play the Etna storyline for Game 2. Okay, spoiler segment over. I love Disgaea. I love the funny story. I love the gameplay. I love being able to obsessively grind in the item world and steal items from overpowered enemies to give to my evil minion army so that I can repeat the process with even better gear and even tougher enemies. If you enjoy strategy games, you should play this. If you enjoy games that you can obsess over for hundreds of hours, you should play this. It's a fantastic game. At the time of this video, there are also 4 full sequels to this game, each of which has refined the gameplay and added forgettable storylines. As someone who is more interested in the gameplay, I don't mind so much, but if you want another great storyline like this game has, NIS doesn't really do that anymore. Then there are the spin-off games to take into consideration. Phantom Brave and Makai Kingdom both came out after this game, and I believe both of them are better than Disgaea. Disgaea is still a wonderful game, but I prefer the radius movement system over the checkerboard grid system of Disgaea. Despite my preference for these other games, this does not remove my love for the Disgaea series. This is still a nearly perfect game that is an absolute 10. It has interesting classes to choose from. Bribing members of the Dark Assembly to get what you want is a fantastic game mechanic that is so perfect for so many reasons. And then there's power leveling, which is where the game shines. Every time one of my characters goes up 30 plus levels all in one shot, or I successfully steal an item that is way more powerful than I have any right to own, I get massive gamer endorphins pumping through my brain, and the majority of these wonderful events happen through exploring the item world. As far as the bad goes, there's not much. Sometimes the item world can be obnoxious. There is the occasional enemy which can't be killed because they're out of reach, and the method for getting to them requires a certain class which may not be available yet. Also, some of the comedy in this game is a little bit dated. but I don't think that these flaws are enough to say this game isn't a 10. It's perfect. This is one of those games I'd want if I were trapped on a deserted island. Must own PS2 title. Also, every Disgaea sequel is worth owning, although the pretty platformer spin-off game on the PSP, that's an odd one. Whew. Alright. Back to making videos. Evil videos.